Hi, everyone, and welcome to Purple Eagles podcast presented by Niagara University's SAAC. I'm your host, Maggie Mcintyre, and I'm also the president of SAAC here at Niagara. And today we want to kind of address the situation about mental health during a time of change for all of us athletes and everyone that's going through this hard time dealing with the coronavirus. Today I'm joined by New York State licensed mental health counselor who also works with us right here on campus at Niagara University. She is our student athlete liaison, Michelle Granieri. Michelle has done such a great job this year just adapting to a new role and being available for student athletes all year long, so we're very lucky to have her here today. Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's first get started on the whole idea, the fact that athletes had their season taken away from them. And, it's a really tough time and people don't really know how to deal with it or how to go about things. So can you first talk to us about anxiety and how to deal with it during a time of unexpected change?
Absolutely. As you know, we're all experiencing changes because of this pandemic, and student athletes especially are facing additional changes to their lifestyle and what's going on. And I think for anxiety specifically, people who have never even experienced that before or have heard the word but don't really know what it means are starting to recognize that they're identifying with anxiety too. So just some of the basic warning signs: excessive worry, muscle tension, restlessness, or the inability to relax, difficulty concentrating, sleeping difficulties, feeling easily fatigued. Those are things to look out for. And when we're in the state that we are, where we don't know what's going on and we don't know what's to come, these things can all be kind of simultaneously happening for us. I think especially with our athletes, the seniors are noticing some of these things happening for them, not sure what they're going to get back, if anything, and what's to come from this whole situation. So just some things to remember. It's important to remember kind of what we're expecting and what we're holding on to of our experiences, recognizing what our perspective is on it. So it's kind of going to a sense of what's in our control right now, which a lot of it has been taken away from us. And so having a dialogue with ourselves to say, I don't know if this is really what I wanted, and I might not have what I wanted, but these are the things that are in my control right now, so I can focus on these things. And that reflection, especially during this pandemic and with these circumstances, can be helpful.
So you mentioned seniors going through this. Do you feel like maybe it could be anyone on the team or anyone, no matter what year you are, even if you're an incoming freshman? I mean, I'm sure at least everyone has had some thoughts in their mind and maybe felt some stress. So can you talk a little bit more about that, as even if you're not a senior and you are returning next year?
Oh, absolutely. Anybody that's in a team dynamic is going to feel, the stressors from this in whatever way, respectively. As a freshman, you're coming into a brand new environment. Maybe you've relocated and you are getting to figure out where you fit in this team and where you fit in the structure. And now you're not with those people and with that routine anymore. So that's difficult. Or, sophomores and juniors, you've got a little bit more time and experience under your belt. So you feel a little bit more comfortable and looking forward to, having maybe more time with each other and developing more and having that seasoned feel to it, but not being able to have that time. I know as an athlete, especially at the Division I level, we're athletic, we're competitive, we want to get out there, we want to do our thing and play our sport, and when we're not able to do that, it feels like there's a piece of us missing.
Right.
So for any level, this is definitely challenging.
Yeah, and I mean, again, grief, loss, something you feel like a part of you is missing. Like, how can we deal with what you can only control? I mean, just having a loss, knowing you're not alone. Everyone, this is nationwide, is going through this. So I don't know if that's a way to cope with it or what your thoughts are on that.
Sure. When I think of this whole pandemic that the world is experiencing, I imagine a snow globe, and I kind of think about this being like a snow globe effect. When you take that snow globe and you shake it up, those particles start to float. And when they find their way to the bottom and they find their way to settle, they're probably not in the same place that they were when that snow globe was just sitting there on the shelf. And so right now, all of the pieces around us are probably still floating a little bit. They probably haven't all had the time and a place to settle down. So we're all currently going through that initial sense of grief and loss, knowing like, wait, that was there, now it's not there, so what do I do and how do I adapt? I think for athletes, you're disconnected from your team, you're disconnected from the routine that you were in with practice and class and travel and competitions and championships. And so for some, this might have been your last season to look forward to, your last experience of elite athletics. So what do you do now? Do you find another way to go through with that, or to find a different experience? Do you come back? If you're given the opportunity, do you just move forward and say that was the end to it? So sometimes we have that inability to feel a sense of closure. When things happen so suddenly and abruptly, it's really challenging to find the easy answers to all of those things, and really being uncertain about what's to come. But being an athlete specifically, I think that there's a true value in resilience, and as a competitive athlete, resilience is a natural piece. When you're in game, you have to make adjustments accordingly. Sometimes it's a split-second decision. You have to change it up a little bit based on what your circumstances are, and this is no different right now. And so to let resilience shine through this experience is going to be helpful, I think. And to remember you're not alone, right? You have a whole team that you're with, and just to know that it's important to be honest with what you're going through. I know that the easy thing for most is to avoid these conversations and to brush it off as if it's maybe not bothering you as much as it is, or not owning up to the fact that it's bothering you. But that honesty piece of it's okay that you're not okay is perfectly normal. To say this sucks right now is normal, and it's okay. And so this is a beautiful time to reach out to your teammates, to reach out to your coach, to reach out to other people that you feel connected to, that you can resonate with, or that can understand what your circumstances are. I can't stress that enough. We need to stay connected, especially in a time when we're being told we have to be apart from everyone, or the things we've looked forward to for so long are no longer available.
Yeah, and so with decision making, like, what kind of tips would you give going forward? I mean, depending on either how to stay strong or what to do during your time, or if you're thinking about making a decision of coming back or letting it all go. I mean, do you have any tips for us just to, kind of get through our daily lives?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some things to help the mental perspective. And then I think in order for us to be well and healthy, we have to think of the whole person, so holistically, to tune into self-care strategies and trying to do them daily. So things like keeping a routine, right? Like when we're in quarantine and we're isolating from others, we don't have our typical, alarm going off, getting ready for the day, packing up to leave for practice in class and grabbing lunch, in that 15-minute window that you might have. You might have more time on your hands, but trying your best to keep a sense of routine. It's going to help your days feel more so normal. I mean, normal is kind of subjective, right? But to say that, I'm waking up and I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3 today, and kind of go about that. So keeping a routine is definitely going to be helpful. Scheduling yourself, throughout the day. Staying active, right? We're athletes, so we want to work out. We want to have things to do. So stay in touch with your coaching staff. Stay in touch with the people who can help designate what we are allowed to do. Just definitely going to plug in to make sure you're following the CDC recommendations. Gyms are closed, so you might not have access to equipment or other things right now. But what are the things that you have available at home that you can key into and really utilize for right now? But also just staying accessible, staying connected. We are biologically programmed to be social creatures. Yeah. So technology is so beautiful right now that it can keep us connected. You can FaceTime, you can do Google Hangout, you can Skype, you can do the Facebook Messenger video, you can text, call, whatever you need to do. But make sure that you're staying connected to people near and far. If you can, if it's a nice day, get some fresh air, right? We don't want to stay cooped up for too long, and we need to be active. If you're noticing that you are struggling a little bit more, it's okay to reach out for support too. Stay connected and know what's available to you.
So would you say the big picture here is really stay connected with people, adjust to this new norm, and I don't know, do you have any final last words that you think are the most important?
We are all going through this together. I can't remember another time where every person was affected by the same thing,
right,
in such a tremendous way. And in one way, that brings a sense of comfort to know that, hey, I don't need to have all the answers. It's okay to not know right now, but these are my options for today. But anything can change right now. So staying mindful, staying present with what's going on right now, is going to be a helpful strategy to remember. Staying connected, absolutely, I can't stress that one enough. And trying to create as much normalcy with what's in your control.
That sounds like some really great advice. Well, Michelle, we really appreciate your tips and insight, and thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Just a reminder for everyone to get out there and do their Purple Eagle plank. Tag your friends, family, coaches, and staff. Have some fun with it. As always, I'm your host, Maggie Mcintyre. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and go Purple Eagles.